Good evening. Welcome to today's study session, everyone. The last 2 weeks, we have done drill work, working at the range interaction between the cutoff and the button in single raised pots. So we've played as the button and we've played as the cutoff. If you want to watch those videos and look at specific spots for single raised pots, we're going to do that. Today, we're going to do the three bets side. So we're going to play as both positions and we're going to look at how the ranges interact with each other and take some risky spots in three bet pots. That's what I love because I love three betting. So we're going to pull up an example or two and then we're going to look at some ranges. So from our previous section where we did a lot of three betting work, we know this is going to be a three bet. How frequently is it going to be a three bet? Any thoughts?
I think this three bets at 60-40.
Yeah, I was about to say same, 60-40.
Good stuff. 60, 40 fold. All right. So when we three bet it, we wind up in this three bet pot. Now, from this spot here, we're going to do a bit of study work. So let's take a peek. Because what do? How do we know how big to bet? How do we know how frequently to bet? So we're going to do a little bit of work, taking a look across all the different textures and kind of trying to figure out how frequently we want to bet this board. So this specific board, Ace Queen 10, we can see that we are only checking it 27% of the time, and we are betting it a lot for about a quarter of the pot. A little bit of big bets, a little bit of micro betting. So the hands that want to go big, Ace King, Ace Jack. So those are the straight blockers. Pocket jacks, mimicking the ace with the straight blocker. And then some bluffs at the bottom end. So Jack 7, Jack 10, Jack 9, right, are all going to use that bigger sizing. And so you have your value portions that are going to use this big sizing, and then this bluff portion that's going to use this big sizing. But most of the range is going to use this kind of quarter pot sizing, and we're going to see a lot of that. Let's take a look at some of the reports here. So this chart here gives us a perspective on kind of all the possible flops that can come, all the way from ace, 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 all the way down to deuce, 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 and everything in between. The green measure here along the top is how much we are checking. The yellow measure is how much we're betting 10% of the pot, so really, really small. Red is going to be how much we bet about a quarter of the pot. The gray is going to be about half pot. And then these sizes are going to be 75% pot and then all in. So when we take a look at flops for the in position player who has three bets, that player is going to, if we take a look at the ranges briefly, so the button having aces, kings, ace, king in range, and the cutoff missing mostly aces, ace, king, pocket kings, pocket queens, ace, king, some ace, jack, some king, jack, really struggling with providing hands that are going to hit this board well. The equity advantage is highly in favor of the three better here. And that's shown throughout the graph. You can see the button, the green line, is way ahead all throughout the range, right until the very end, where we look at hands like king jack off is still there, king jack off is still there, king jack off is there, king jack off is a little bit there. So those are the hands where we kind of have the overlap, right? But this is a huge range advantage for the in position player. So kind of what makes us want to bet here. We can see that on these boards here, so down here we have ace high and then king high and then queen high. The ace high boards, ace with another face is going to be checked, or that's small or medium a lot, right? And that's all throughout the ace with another Broadway card. So ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, ace king. Ace with smaller cards, we are betting smaller more prevalently. And again, on an ace, we do have a fair amount of checking. Why is that? Well, the cutoff, if we take a look at their range, while they do lack, while they do lack ace king, they do have ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, ace 9, ace 8, ace 7, ace 6, ace 5, ace 4, ace 3. They actually have a lot of aces here, right? And so the top pair advantage isn't quite so big. They come in here with all kinds of suited aces, right? We have the offsuit aces. They have more suited aces. So we have the better aces. They have the suited aces. So a rainbow texture is good for us. But as I was saying, when we take a look at the flops, we see that the range interaction leads to lots of small bets on aces and some checks. Kings, we see a bit of a different response. King with another high card, we see some small betting, some mid-sized betting, and some really big betting. And this is going to be dependent on what other cards flop and what specific hands we have that interact with this part of the range. But one thing that we can see is whenever there's connection in terms of how close those top two cards are together, we tend to have a little bit more big bet spots. So king 10 has some more big bets. King jack has some more big bets. King queen has some more big bets. But then when we get down here to like king 8-6, king 7-5, we don't see those big bets in play very much. We see very small betting. Again, queen connected. We even have some blast offs. So we'll take a look at some queen specific boards and some jack specific boards and try and figure out what those hands are that are just going to rip in 33 big blinds for 200% pot. As we go through a study today. But again, when lots of checks, so it's a very polarized spot. So there's going to be a lot of big betting and a lot of checking on connected queen boards. And then we're going to see that again on connected jack boards. So again, it's blast or check a lot. And then on 10 boards, we see that as well. Blast or check a lot. And then a little bit of that on 9 boards, and then it really starts to fade out. So any board that is essentially 10 high and low or lower is going to be a range bet small. So about 25% of the time. This is largely going to be the in position strategy that we are going to use. So let's do a few hands, and then we're going to look at an advanced spot. What do we do after the flop C bet? So we get this flop. We know what we want to do. We want to bet this a lot. The connectedness kind of drives us up a little bit. So there might be some slightly bigger betting. Yeah, so a little bit of slightly bigger betting. And with that slightly bigger betting also comes some checking. But if you are just quarter potting it here or third potting it here, this is also just fine. Our opponent calls, and we get this turn. Does anyone want to keep betting, or should we check? And why?
This hand is, I think marginal at this point, and our SPR has gotten a bit awkward. So, I mean, if we bet, I think we bet small, but I think check is fine here.
Okay,
Same here.
I mean, the only thing that we could get called by that we're ahead of is a queen or a really bad ace.
Well, we're no longer ahead of a bad ace, like we're tied with a bad ace.
Yeah, now we're chopping with we losing to ace king, we're chopping to everything else, and we lose to better aces like ace queen, ace 10, king jack, any 10. So I think, yeah, there is no reason to bet.
This, I could have a, oh. Okay, never mind.
go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say I'd have a bias towards betting a bit bigger only because I don't like sharing. Like I just don't like chopping pots, and we have, because we 3-bet, we still have ace king in range. And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if a bad ace is folding. But it's a rainbow board. Like, I think it's okay to put a little pressure on a queen that wants to keep us honest. And less likely, and the guy's less likely to continue a 10, except for like jack 10, king 10, I suppose. But I guess that was only my thought, only because, again, we don't want to chop the pot. So there's value in scooping and getting like an ace 5 to fold. But maybe it's not correct for the villain to fold. So in that case, it's bad for us to bet.
So if we take a look at the strategy, we could see that ace 8 wants to bet, ace 9 wants to check, ace queen wants to check, ace 6 wants to bet more, ace 3 and ace 2 want to bet more. Right?
Yeah, those are like, yeah, you may be able to find the better aces maybe, but I don't know. Population won't fold ace. I don't know.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Ace 6 and ace 3 and ace 2, they unblock the opponent calling with an 8 or a 9 in their hand. Like when they have like a hand like 8-9 on this flop, or jack 9 or king 9 or jack 8, it's good because those are the hands we want them to continue with. So when we hold an 8 or a 9, we're holding a blocker that's blocking the hands that we want them to have, which pushes them more to having not a hand like jack 9, but to have a hand like jack 10.
Yeah.
Right? So having these smaller aces, this is why these smaller aces are betting more than these better aces than ace queen even. So like when we have ace queen here and we block our opponent calling with an ace and we block our opponent calling with a queen, our opponent just has a lot more 10s in range all of a sudden. And so ace queen is really afraid here. I mean, it's still our ace 16.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was gonna say, would it also be that because we're blocking other queens, it's not only that we're unblocking 10s, we're blocking continue queens, but we're also, because we're blocking any continue, we'd rather check back and induce a bluff on the river. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can see now the graph has changed. Before, the green line was clearly ahead all the way throughout the graph. Now, at the very bottom of the graph, we still have 100% of our range here. So we still have some trash in here that's completely unpaired hands, like king 7 of clubs. We're still in here with king 7 of clubs, right? Our opponent doesn't have king 7 of clubs anymore. Right? Throughout the middle of the range, we still have the advantage because we have the bigger kings. We still have ace king in range. We still have sets of queens and sets of aces. And so we still have an advantage here, but towards the top of the range, it's gotten much closer. And now we can see that the equity breakdown is slightly in our favor in position. Now, of course, because we're still last act, we're going to realize that equity a little better, because here's the thing about these type of 3-bet pots. We get to this spot we decide, we are still in control of how big this pot is going to get. We can decide how much money to put in. But one of the things that I see in game a lot, and when I do like hand history review work, right? I've seen some students who, they'll get to this spot and they'll say, I'm afraid of my opponent drawing out. So I'm just gonna shove on this turn, right? Or I'm just gonna blast on this turn. And we can see blasting is not the way that we get value, right? Our range just wants to go and keep putting money in the pots with our range advantage here. So checking back, betting mostly. When we played the check line, we open ourselves up to getting bluffed. Pretty gross river.
It is, but I don't think we can fold to a block size.
30%. Okay.
Yeah, what are our pot on? They're like 20%. I mean, so we have to win 1 out of 5 times. Do we win 1 out of 5 times? Probably.
But here's the
Prime-
thing. When we
prime
win, we
pot.
don't actually, when we win, we don't actually win. We split a lot.
It's a very good point. Yeah, so our pot odd calculation changes. It's a very good point.
Yeah, so lots of the time, we're just gonna lose 8.5 chips. Some of the time, we're gonna split 8.5 chips. And some of the times we're gonna win 8.5 chips. So now now it's a threefold calculation. So you're gonna have a really imprecise ability to calculate unless you can figure out exactly what your opponent's doing with what ratios here.
Yeah.
So this is a disastrous mathematical spot to try and figure out. And I mean,
Yeah, calling for a chop is very weird pot odd calculation.
yeah, calling for a chop. 8 to win, like it's functionally 8 to win 12. Like if we think of it that way.
Yeah. I don't think
I
we
mean-
get to fold considering turn action.
You got to be right a lot to put
Yeah.
in 8 to win 12. You have
Yeah,
to
that's a
be
good
right
point.
66% of the time here.
Well, can we identify any clear bluffs? I mean, does he have jack 9?
Oh,
Suited? He has
Sure, our
4.
opponent has Jack 9
Yes,
in
he
range.
has 4 combos of jack 9 suited.
Let's take a look at all their range. All right, so let's take a look. So when our opponent comes out with this pickling size, they are doing it with 31% of their range. They are doing it with 3 combos of king 4, king 5, king 6, king 8, king 10. Oh, that's trip 10s. A queen, right? So these are value, right? The queen is all value. The king jack is a straight. The 10 is trip 10s. These 10s are 10s. And then,
Those are full houses, right?
yeah, all of these ones are bluffs. Bluff, 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 bluff. So, yeah,
Yeah, so he's always betting his, although it's a very small part of his range, he's always betting his no equity hands.
he is bluffing with every piece of trash that he gets to the river with. Because he gets here with a lot of big value.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a gross spot.
This feels like though one of those, like, I know that we're here studying GTO, but population, I feel would very, very rarely find a third pot bet with king 5 suited as played. Like
Agreed.
like don't get me wrong, like I mean you're a wizard if you can find that, but in a live tournament or cash game, like it's a pretty gutsy bet on that board as played. Because
So-
we have all the value in range,
Well, except that we check the turn.
except that we check the turn. Yeah. So okay.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
So now the turn is a 10. So,
Right,
you know,
yeah,
and then the river's a queen.
yeah, no, okay, those. it-
I would imagine we call it at a certain frequency. I don't know if we fold or call more. I don't think this is a pure
Okay.
fold.
So it is a call.
Your call.
And like, as we saw earlier, probably ace 6 and ace 3 and ace 2 are gonna want to call more, and ace 9 and ace jack are gonna want to call less.
I was gonna say it's gotta be close, but it's only 0.9 equity, like 0.9 EV. It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not a spot where you're making a lot of money, because the problem is you have to be right a lot. And when you're right a lot, sometimes it's a chop,
right.
right? Now, of course, all our queens go all in. Yeah, ace 9, just a fold, right? You really don't want to have a 9 here, because that
Blocks the
blocks
bluffs.
a lot of bluffs that our opponent.
Yeah.
Ace jack starting to find some folds, right? But ace 6 and ace 3 and ace 2 pure calling, right? So
Give me the
All right.
king 5 and I am all in. Look at that, all in king 5.
how do you like this bluff? King 5, jam it.
Blocking this. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Wow.
All right, so we made the call. How bad is it?
Oh, king
five.
5.
The,
Ah,
danger, the danger of 3-bet pot spots. All right, we're gonna get in more trouble. King jack off. How frequently are you 3-betting this? My palms are itching.
80-20.
I think it's.
Get
Ooh,
I was gonna say
I'm
less,
gonna go with
but
Syed. That sounds good.
the like 65-35. I'm a bit of a nit though, so.
I'll go 65-35.
75-25. Very good. So we are finding some 3-bets here. I got to admit, I am an animal with this hand. All right, so
Oh, button, yeah.
queen 6-5. So disconnected from the top, queen high. Are we going to be betting big or small?
I think small, like the queen favors our opponent's range, doesn't it?
Yep,
think
queen
the-
is not
The 6 and the
best card
5
for us.
D2.
Yeah, I would say small as well.
Jack of a
Actually, it's a coordinated
spades,
board.
Hmm.
Guess it's not that
But one thing
coordinated.
unless 2 cards are close together, we don't really polarize the spot. So I think this is going to be a hand that bets these 2 sizes a lot.
Yeah, we don't wanna get blown
So
up. Like, we have the jack of spades, which is nice.
Yeah.
So-
I think we can, if we bet small here, we leave ourselves room to continue betting with equity when we turn a spade, when we
Or a
turn a
10.
9, a 10, or an ace
Ace.
even.
or an ace.
Yeah, I like a small bet here.
Yeah.
Small betting a lot,
Oh,
checking
checking
pretty
too.
heavily, which is surprising. So
Checking
let's take a
heavy.
look. We're gonna do a little bit of a dive now, and we're gonna see how much flush draw boards affect our construction here.
Yeah, that would be good to know.
So checking 40 in range, betting 60 in range. So
Can we look at the
it
range and
is
comparison real quick? I'm curious who
sure.
thinks. Curious who.
Sure.
Yeah, we're pretty much splitting this board.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good.
So this one's pretty close. We're just pushing our overpair advantage throughout the board, right?
Yeah.
So we still have aces, kings, and queens here that our opponent doesn't really. And that's where we're really pushing the advantage. Our opponent has a little more connectivity around the 2 pair and the second pair and some straight stuff here. But we have a little bit of queen 6 and stuff like that too. So we're a little protected on this side. So let's go to reports. Let's take a look at the difference between rainbow texture, and flush draw texture. This is the overall picture. When we go to a rainbow texture, we can see sizing up with ace and the Broadway, which is what we saw before. Lots of small betting there. The king on a rainbow texture, a little bit less big betting. The queen on a rainbow texture, not so much big betting, even when they're connected. The jack still has some big betting on rainbow textures. And the 10 really wants to blast. And then smaller than that, rainbow texture, it is just a lot of quarter pot. A little bit of half pot, so you're going to find some. The connectivity around 8-9, around 9-10, and 10 jack is still there. But now we're going to look at it from a flush draw perspective. And we can see already just with a quick visual that there is a lot more polarized betting here. There's a lot more big betting or checking, right? So the ace, look at all this checking, 50% checking when there's an ace and a king on board, right? Lots of checking. Fair amount of checking even in the ace low
With
boards.
ace low is my favorite.
Yeah, and king with another high card, lots of checking. Lots more of the half pot size on the flush draw boards. Right, and then again, the queen connected, lots more purple here, right? So it just decides it wants to rip it in on queen jack, on queen 10 boards. And then we're going to see that again on jack 10 boards and jack 9 boards. 10-9 boards.
What's up
And
with the 10, Peter? Why 10 is such a crazy card?
Sure, let's take a peek. And we'll do that by taking a look in the ranges.
Yeah.
So when we have a board, and we're going to throw up a 10 board here, you're going to take the queen out, and we're going to throw in the 10 of clubs. And see, why are these 10 boards so crazy? So what is our range doing in regards to 10s? So the bottom of our offsuit range, 3 bets a lot of these 10s. And our opponents, they lack a lot of these 10s because when we 3 bet, they fold them. This is part
They
of our
have the
targeting.
suited ones.
They still have the suited ones. But remember, there's only 4 combos, 8 combos, 12 combos, 16 combos, 20 combos. Right here is 9 combos,
48.
18, 27, right? 32. So like we have a lot more 10s in our range than they do, right? We also have a little bit of 10-7 in here. So we just have a lot more 10s in our range. The other thing that it really connects with is that we have a lot of hands, jacks, queens, kings, and aces that on 10 high boards can really push the equity advantage here, right? Where our opponent lacks jacks, queens, kings, and aces. Really,
Gosh.
this is like 10s and 9s are the boards where we have the most over pairs that they don't have. So it's where we are naturally ahead of them the most. And so we get to go for value on 10 and 9 high boards, particularly really well.
Gosh.
So
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. All right, so we, as played, we go for a little bet here. And we get a call. And we get a check. 3 looks like a brick. Are we going to bet again? And if so, how big?
Oh, yeah.
Not sure I like betting here.
Three is kind of a brick, but he's trash. Kind of got there. But if we check, we're gonna lose this spot for sure.
I
Yeah,
don't,
that's a
it's
good
not
point.
good blocking his draws here. With our backdoor combo draws.
Yeah.
I don't know if we, I mean, I think we do get to polarize a little bit and still go for it with our essentially no equity.
Yeah, I was
But we
thinking.
also, we check, so I think we either polarize or check.
Okay.
Yeah, so we go B50, because B75 makes no sense with the SPR, so we go either B50 or check.
I'm with you. I am on the same page.
So I would,
If you, sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
If you had pocket kings with the king of spades, how big would you bet here?
B25.
No, I think I still put B50.
Yeah, I would go with
Okay.
50.
What if you had pocket kings without the king of spades?
B50.
No, maybe even that one, maybe even more.
Okay.
For
Saeed,
me,
I mean, it doesn't make any sense to go B18 because it leads, I mean, you're pot committed if you go B18.
yeah.
So here's a spot where I see in the database work when we do it. This spot, people are sitting here with king of hearts, king of clubs, and they are afraid, as Morpheus says in the Matrix, you will not be afraid of your kings. And they just rip it in and they go pot because they are afraid of their kings being drawn out on by two pair, a flush, because it happened to them once and they lost a pot. But
PTSD.
yep. And we can see half pot is as big as it gets.
Yeah, we would. I'm
Let's take a
curious
look.
about now kings.
Mhm. Let's take a look at our kings here. Half pot. Every hand. Sets of queens, check. Aces, kings, ace, queen. Half pot, half pot, half pot, half pot. The more hands that you put in this half pot bucket, the more of your bluffs you get to have.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
So,
we're gonna
so
take
that's
a look
why
at-
we don't have any B25 size.
Right.
Wait, why did the small pocket pairs go for the 50% pot bet?
They're
so
essentially a bluff.
they are still ahead of second pair, right? Remember our opponent's range that they get here on the turn with consists of lots of sixes, lots of fives, and a little bit of sevens and eights and nines. They have some queens for sure.
But
Not
not that
so
many
much.
because they don't have the offsuit ones.
Yeah, like top pair represents 10% of their range. So
Yeah.
when you have pocket eights, are you afraid of 10% of their range and 90% of the range that you're ahead of? Right? Like pocket nines is a value bet on this turn. Right? It's earning 18 chips when you bet this pocket nines here. Right? And this is why like understanding these ideas of the range interaction is really an important concept to nail down because it allows you to go for value. And that's like the question that you asked is just a great question. Why is it going for this with sevens, eights, nines, and tens? And it's just because they're way ahead. Right? And if you look, like the difference between sevens and eights, right? They all earn roughly the same amount of chips, right? Even, like pocket kings and pocket aces earn a little bit more chips, but not a ton, right? Because our opponent doesn't have that many queens in the entirety of their range still. So Don't be afraid of the turn. And we get to the river, 1649. Do we complete or do we give up here? Always a tough decision.
All in rebuy.
So I think we're only folding his missed draws here. Cause I don't think he gets to fold many pairs to this size.
Yeah, we're only, what is this, 25% or 30%?
It's 30.
But
32.
he's folding all the ace highs, he's folding all the flush draws. He might even fold sevens because we bet.
I don't think he gets to
maybe.
fold sevens to these pot odds.
And maybe more
Yeah,
exploitatively, in tournaments, people, as far as I'm aware, tend to value their last chips, but that wouldn't matter for a GTO perspective.
Yeah,
Nope.
I don't, I think that we do give up at a certain frequency here.
Jack of a spade is really bad to have.
Yeah, the jack of spades is bad to have here. We want him to be here with spades. But the other thing
Yeah.
too is like some of his spades actually beat us,
Yeah.
right? Like he has ace high spades here and king king high spades were beating, but
Ace
like
10,
ace high
ace
spades
9,
were
ace
losing.
8.
Yeah, we lose all ace highs.
Okay,
Yeah, this is a
Let's-
very awkward size.
I am all in, I don't know.
Do you
Yeah.
wanna-
Yeah.
it is mixing pretty heavily here. This is a spot where you
Same
can
EV.
make this decision go either way. I bet without the spade, it pure goes all in.
Yeah.
Let's take a
probably
peek
right.
at that. Just quickly.
ICM check. Chip EV, I think. Go for it.
King Jack, the spade wants to check back, wants to give up. Right, when we have the king of spades, it goes in weirdly. And it is mixing with all of them. King Jack with the king of spades has to go in. Okay. Bit strange, but yeah, mixed spot here with these give up type hands, right? So all the hands that contain a 7. So these are the hands that are going to want to bluff first. These ones have a little bit of showdown. They
Yeah.
beat some of his worst flush draws. So 7 is going to be an important element here because we block hands like 7-6 and 7-5. So having a 7 here is going to be good because it blocks the hands that he's going to have to call with. So when we do shove it in, our opponent is mixing with some 6s and 5s here, right? They're folding pocket 4s, right? So they're in a bit of a tough spot here, but we do get them to fold about a third of their range, and these ace highs do beat us. So we do get them to fold some hands that beat us. We do sometimes fold a small pair, so it's not bad to shove there. All right, do 1 or 2 more from the button perspective, and then we'll move back to the cutoff. Oh, easy one. Everyone finding this? Like it.
Ooh,
Well, this is no fun.
well, yeah, he has queens. Oh, he's
He's
queen,
queen.
okay.
Happy days. Oh, king 5. How frequently are you 3-betting this, you animals?
I think half the time.
30% of 35, something like that.
Okay, and then are you
Fun.
folding the rest or are you calling the rest?
I think this is I don't think you
Hmm.
fold this. I think this is the bottom of our call three bet
Yeah.
range. I think we fold like king 4 and king 3.
Okay, good job identifying the bottom of range. Yeah, this is, not sure if this is gonna fold or call, but
I
yeah,
probably don't fold, yeah, just call or
yeah, I might be folding here. I might call king 6 more, but
yeah.
Yep. You're okay here, recognizing the bottom of range. High frequency 3-bets. I hope everyone is well.
Uh-huh, now it makes sense.
All right, can we please get a 3-bet, 25%? Let's go. Don't you
Oh
dare stop.
yeah,
All
you're we just owned Cammy the other day. We're like, yo, you need a 3-bet. And me too, because we were talking about ace jack offsuit is a call most of the time. You're supposed to 3-bet this shit a
All
lot.
right. For sure. Welcome.
So I think we get to, hey Viv, I think we get to see bet here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you 3-bet, you c-bet, and it's a king high board. King 3 deuce that you can c-bet, you don't have to worry. Just c-bet small.
Sure. Do we go 10%?
No, it just
25?
quarter.
Mostly a quarter?
10% is mainly done on like monotone boards out of position. Really? 10%? Are you fucking kidding me?
10%. So here's the idea with it. The more that you want to bet, the more that you want to small bet, right? You just want to keep your opponent as wide as possible. When you bet big on these flops, you kind of force your opponent to fold out their weak stuff and continue with only their value. So here, we want our opponents to be in this pot with pocket 4s still, and pocket 5s, and pocket 6s. And they're just not going to be able to fold those hands, right? Because sure enough, here they are, pocket 3s, pocket 4s, pocket 5s, pocket 6s, pocket 7s. And so our range wants them to put in some chips with these hands. Because when we give them this disrespectful bet size, how are they going to react? And so we can see this also makes sure that our range isn't polarized. So we're not saying, hey, we only have our best hands here. We're saying, good luck. Our best hands are betting small. So all our trash is betting small. And we're just going to try and keep the pot wide while we nudge a little bit more money in. Because if we look at the range advantage, right, on this board, we have a huge equity advantage, right? 7% for us, less 7% for them. So there's a 14% difference in equity here. And when we look at the top pairs, right, our top pairs are a really big chunk of what we have here, right? So when we look at our range, we have the best kings and some of these kings. Our opponent has just worse kings, right? They've got some king, queen, king, jack, but we have ace, king, right? As opposed to them who doesn't have ace, king. And so our kings are just a little bit better than theirs, right? Combined with the fact that we also have this overpair percentage, right? Where we have aces more frequently than they do still, right? And they never have pocket kings here. So like when it comes to sets, we have the advantage. And so when we have this advantage, we just want them every time we have pocket aces here to put in 3 more chips, right? To put in 4 more chips, to put in 5 more chips. And so we just keep these really small bets going to keep milking the opponent. Because I mean, they can't fold when we bet 10%, 1.65 chips, can they? So let's give them this thing, and we're going to make them continue really, really wide. Oh, even better, they raise. We got to be pretty happy here. Are we?
I'm not so
And-
sure.
Are we? Not sure, yeah.
Definitely just call.
Yeah, I think we just
Yeah,
call, but
just a call, easy call.
Look at it, it's printing 12 chips. We're
so we are happy.
rolling,
We're very happy.
very happy. And they give us this quarter pot bet.
Still just
So-
call.
Sure. I mean, is there anything to do but call? Very happy. Keep our opponent wide. flush comes in, we have a card of the suit.
Oh, look at that.
Now, here's the idea in reverse. They have said we've check raised, so we have the kings at the top of our value range, and we have flushes now as well. So they're going to show up here with some king, queen. They're going to show up with some flushes. All of a sudden, this river card is really bad because the hands that they were bluffing, some of them got there.
At
And the
least we-
value that they have, some of that
I've
got
never
there
pulled
too.
this in a million years.
Well,
Oh, yeah, we definitely
what are you
wouldn't
gonna get
fold.
shown that's worse though? You call in, like, they're not turning king eight or king nine over.
Well, we're blocking the nuts and our pot odds are ridiculous, so I think we call.
Is it-
Yeah, I think it has to be a
Oh.
call.
Well, like, but there's, like, when you say blocking the nuts, do you just mean like 10 of spades or king?
No, I
'Cause-
mean, we're
Actually, we
blocking the
block-
flush. I guess it's not the nuts because it's a paired board, but we're
Yeah.
blocking, and they don't have king because they should have shoved that pure.
Yeah,
So, but good point, it's not the nuts, but I
There's
think we have to
45.
call because of pot odds.
they have twos, threes, they have 45, they have, like, I don't wanna see monsters in the bed, but I don't think if we call this, I don't know if we're getting shown a hand that's worse, but.
Yeah, you might be right, but look at this from a pure pot odds
I have
perspective.
a
Yeah,
We
question.
have
like,
to win
sure.
1
What
out of 10
about if
times for
we
this to be
shove?
profitable.
Yeah, yeah, true enough. Yeah,
What about if we shove?
So if we shove, are we going to make a better hand fold?
I don't.
well, that's
think
interesting.
so.
We might get king, jack, maybe even king, queen to fold.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
we're only shoving for a quarter pot though, so I feel like maybe those would still find a call. Probably not.
I think
Yeah.
this is going to be a very low equity call now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Still 13
Oh.
chips. I'm
Wow.
surprised.
13 chips.
All right.
King, queen.
There it is, yeah.
So let's take a look at the opponent's range and see what they get there to that river with. Because I think Ryan had a really good point. Like the stuff they check raised 3-2, like 4-5 did make the straight for them. If they're checking, if they're raising like 46 or 56, they've made 3 6s now. Sometimes they've made a flush. So let's take a look at their river value bets here. So full houses are betting very small. And top pair is betting very small. So they're betting everything here. So they have some trash, but they're very heavy on top pair. If we look at it, it comprises 50% of their range. Now we had king 10, so we're still going to be ahead of their king 9, king 8, king 7, king 5. Right? So we're still out kicking them on a big parts of this range here. So we just happen to run into king queen on this one hand. So a bit of a cooler for us, not really a whole heck of a lot we can do. So 3 betting, calling off king queen, pretty reasonable. The more your opponent is apt to overfold, the more cautious we should be on turn and river streets with our 3 betting range. So we'll do one more here from this side, and then we're going to flip the script.
People,
Alright, that was easy.
never mind.
All right, so we saw this earlier, ace 8, low frequency 3 bets. All right. Heart, spade, king, paired 9 board. How good are the 9s for us? Pretty good. Small or very small, or check.
I
Uh,
think small again, just because it's marginal. Like we have some showdown value. So I don't want to get blown off this. We definitely want to see a turn card, and ideally the river.
Very small or small are both acceptable. Our opponent just calls. 3, changes nothing on the board texture. No draws come in for our opponent. Are we gonna go 50? Or check back?
We have very marginal showdown at this point. So I think we mix between check and B50.
The thing I like about betting is that like the king and 9 are advantageous cards for our range as opposed to the opponent. But that being, and the other reason is if we check back, like our hand is pretty face up.
Okay.
I feel. Unless it's like last week with those sleepy kings, that was the most fucked up hand.
So it is still betting on 25 here. It is checking a bunch. There's a little bit of that B50. Check, check, call, check, call, check, call.
I think
Or
we
is
take
the
our
big-
showdown here.
All right,
Shop with all the other aces.
good spot. Pocket sevens. Sticky pocket sevens, eh? 3-bet pot. Are people defending 2 streets and with pocket sevens? Maybe. All right. Let's change the script a little bit. We'll play from the other side. And we'll be versus 3 bets. And so all right, and so now look at this, we're gonna prune our range a little bit so that we don't wind up with a lot of gross spots. So when the opponent 3 bets comes back to us in the cutoff, what's our strategy gonna be? We're gonna be here with suited 9s, offsuit jacks, and some connectors and some kings and aces. So let's this stuff. All right, let's give us this defense for now. All right, so facing a 3 bets, ace jack of clubs, first thing to decide, what are we going to stuff in and what are we going to call?
So this is a call, but we want to, you're asking what our range would do?
Sure.
So I think this is like 9s plus shoves.
Okay.
And then like ace, king, ace, queen, and then I think we pull our bluffs, our bluff shoves from the suited wheels. Ace wheel.
I think
Sounds
ace
pretty
jack off you can jam as well, and I think some of the low pocket pairs are in their low frequency,
Let's take a peek, see.
like 5s, 6s, 7s.
Jams. Yep. 3 jams, low frequency all the way down to 3s. Some of the wheels. 9s plus at full frequency. And ace, king, ace, queen, and a little bit of ace jack off. Right? Spicy king jack suited on an island here. I gotta admit, not finding this. Right? I'm gonna flat these two, pretty full frequency. I gotta find this in my game a little more. Just never doing this one. All right. Continue. Defending a 3-bet pot. Do we have any leads ever?
We do, and I think this board is pretty close to it.
It needs to be like 9-6-5. Needs to be a little bit higher.
Yeah, like I said, pretty close.
Yeah.
99.4% ivory pure, checks. Facing a quarter pot bet.
Seems like an easy
Is
call.
this a naked peel?
What does that mean?
Just kind of like no connection to the board, no flush draw, no real straight draw. Are we just peeling this with 2 overcards for quarter pot?
Call one time.
I think we fold.
I think this is mixing. I think it's mostly a fold with slivers a call, like 30% call.
Seems pretty reasonable. Like thinking about it, our range is going to have lots of connection here, and then it's going to have lots of spades. So yeah, maybe this is just a pure fold. I'm not sure. Oh,
Wow,
it is
I'm surprised.
calling, but it is mixing. So, you know, Nick had the right idea here that this is bottom of range. So ace 10 is probably going to be the other way, right?
We got-
93% fold, 7% call.
We got to call for our 200ths of a chip.
Yeah. I needed
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Oh. Everything changes. Is this a spot where we're going to pick up a lead?
Well, we will have some leads on this card. I think this is just a check fold though.
Mhm. Checking, betting, not really. Half pot bet,
I mean,
easy give up now.
yeah,
but-
yeah, easy fold now.
We're gonna have a lot of stuff that has a pair here by now, that has a straight draw here that has a flush draw here by now. We have lots of stuff to call with.
If it was something ridiculous, like 1/5 pot or something, I guess we don't have any check raises really because like we're not holding any cards that connect with that board. Like we just like, are there any pure steals if the bet sizing was smaller or just not with that texture?
Yeah, so they're really only using this as a smaller sizing. And even when they do, I mean, ace jack with the ace of spades can bluff it, but not without.
Right, okay, yeah.
How often are we leading with range on the turn?
With range on the turn,
Like 20 or something?
we are gonna lead
Oh, not
about
that much.
10%.
Okay.
Right? And it's just gonna jam queen jack, queen king. It's gonna take some new top pairs and just jam them. Weird donk jam spot. It's just gonna jam aces without the ace of spades. And pocket fives is a bluff with the 5 of spades. So very strange spot. Not a lot of very intuitive leads here. Right? Because the sizing's polarized. So I gotta admit, probably not finding this polarized lead spot in my game so much. All right. Let's do more of these. And then we're gonna look at the reports after we do 1 or 2 more here. Ooh,
How
jack.
dare he make us fold ace jack when he has ace 2?
All right, mixing
So
spot
this
here.
is a different point, okay.
Bottom of range, but whoa, we knew this board was coming. Check. Disrespectful.
No, definitely never folding. How often do we want to raise?
Mm.
We raise gut shots more than we raise open under, right?
They have a lot more tens than us, which is concerning to raise into.
Yeah, remember tens a card that this opponent likes. They have a lot of tens. So I think this is gonna be a call without a spade and occasionally a raise with a spade.
I think it's still gonna get in there because he just bet so small.
Yeah,
I think it's mostly, I agree, I think it's mostly a call. I think it's probably gonna raise like 15-20% of the time.
Yeah, mostly call.
yeah, that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, well, Solver Nick says 20 or 15, 20% of the time. 18% of the time it comes in. Let's see if it raises a little more with spade. Right, just with the spade, there's a few more cards you can barrel then, so. Queen Jack. Yeah, Queen Jack with a spade is gonna do some more raising. Queen Jack without a spade, just calling. All right. Very happy we're priced in. Okay, double flush draw board. Ooh.
Oh man, I know I know what Sin stands for. Solver is Nick, dude.
Double flush draw board and our opponent checks back. You ever get the feeling they're sitting on quad tens? All right.
Elizabeth said, "Say I don't care about your feelings."
All
Then could be
right.
sitting on King 10 though.
So,
How much we wanna go for value?
I don't think we
well,
have enough bluffs to jam.
Plus, if they had a 10, they probably would have bet it on the turn, so we can't really get value from that. If we jam, they're gonna fold the kings, maybe, like really bad kings.
remember against that really small flop size, our opponent kept us super wide. So we're here with missed hearts, with missed spades, with some busted straight draws, with some marginal made nines and eights, trip tens occasionally. Like we are here with the full gambit of our range.
Yeah.
This is going to
I
be
know
a
this,
tough.
I'm trying to think of how many bluffs we're gonna have. Like if we have enough bluffs, this is a jam. Yeah, I think it's probably just a pot though.
I am with the pot.
Okay, 87%. Or do we try and, like, our opponent is also going to have lots of bluffs. Do we try and induce here?
That's a possibility. But we're gonna miss value if he just calls.
Sure, but we're trying to induce our opponent to bluff us. Right? Like if we go this size, our opponent's not going to have very many bluffs.
I don't
Yeah,
think we want a heart or a spade to induce. I think like when we have diamond or club or diamond club, it's gonna be a better option.
Let's take a peek.
7.
And just
I was thinking
ripping.
that's 7.
Yeah.
Rip.
Just value. Small
Man, I
value.
would bet
half pot.
17, I don't care. But at 12, all in, I like all in. As
Yeah, if you look
well.
at the EVs, the EV of all the options are really competitive here. And it is spreading small bets, medium bets, all ins, checks.
What's
you
the
really
point of
can't make
the 7 big blind? Are they gonna induce over the 7 big blind, or is it just like we need to balance some of this? There's in a 7 big blind
Yeah,
for the times we have like
range
King X.
just range protection. Yeah, you'll have some king X in there, probably a little bit of 9x, and then some jack queen, and probably low frequency 10x.
So let's take a peek here. Because this is a tough spot because of how wide everyone is. So our full houses are going to be betting small. And our straights are going to be betting small a lot. Our trips are going to be betting small, and our top pairs are going to be betting small. Our over pairs, aces bet big. Some trips are going to bet big. And then lots of bluffs are going to bet big.
With the queen jack suited, is it betting small with diamond and club?
Jack suited. Yeah, small a lot. Right? Hearts, the backdoor one, it goes big. The other 3 go small.
Yeah.
right? And then here in the mixed frequency, yeah. It wants to go big with the heart or the spade.
Okay.
Sometimes,
That's what I thought,
not
making sure.
always. Yeah. Okay.
Where are we bluffing from?
Ooh, let's take a
Like,
peek at our.
Like ace jack is the easy one to find. Like, are we bluffing like jack 9? No, we just have showdown. So like low suited aces.
Or no made hands. Or the bottom end of the straights that missed. Right, so when we get here with a flush draw that bricks and is 6 high, right?
What
We
about the
just
ace
bluff
highs that are?
from our flush draws from the bottom up.
What about the ace highs? Where are we pulling from those?
Size.
Yeah, so ace jack is the one I thought of, and then some low suited wheels. But like, are we jamming hearts and clubs, or are hearts and spades, or are those like diamonds and clubs? Like the ace
Nope.
4, ace 3, ace 2.
Hearts and spades, and then these ones are just all spades.
Okay.
Because we when the turn, like from the turn, if we turn hearts, we bet a lot. Right, so this is going to be at low frequency when we go to range height. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have this here a lot now. All right.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So the 9, very easy call. Ooh, 8, 6, 4. Is this a board we have more? We have sets here. We have straights here. We have 2 pairs. Is this a board we're going to lead?
Actually, cut off first button. I don't know if there's any boards we have leads really. Like I think if we're a middle position, we start to have some, but
Okay.
I'm not sure that we do cut off first button.
100% check. Now it's time to take a look at those reports and just make sure that there are really no leads in this spot. And I think you're probably right here, Nick. Yeah, no leads on this board, but in general, when we look at the cutoff strategy, functionally no leads across board, right? A little bit of ace king leads, a little bit of ace low leads, right? A little bit of king mid leads, king low leads. Just some weird ripping. Queen jack 8, you just rip it in. So we're gonna have some action here around jack 9, jack 10. Yeah, there's a little bit of leading around these streets, but not a very prominent part of the strategy, not something that we're going to explore in depth, but thought there might be on this board, but it's going to be a little more connected, a little higher. All right, so we just check in a 3-bet pot, which is probably fine. Is this a check raise or a check call or a fold? It's not a fold.
I think we get some check raises here.
Like the answer.
I think it's mostly a call, but raising's fine too. I think it's again low frequency, like 20%, 15%.
Sure.
I'm with Nick. Yeah.
Primarily a call. You can get a little spicy. Not a good card for us. Oh, look at him small betting us, milking us. Are we going to fold?
Yeah, it's just a fold.
We didn't pick up any additional equity either.
So you see how effective like small betting in these 3-bet pots is? when our opponent's range contains all the strong hands and we lack those strong hands. So don't worry about your hands being drawn out on. Just, you know, you don't have to blast in 3-bet pots. Pocket tens. Does pocket tens look like it's worried? Just bet twice. All right, do one more here. There's a good call. 9, 6, 2 rainbows. Seen just to check. Is this just a give up?
Yeah, it's just a fold.
All the other queen tens suiteds defend, right, guys?
Yeah.
This one just lets it go. All right. That one. Ace 8. Who's 3-betting ace 8? All right. Oh boy.
Let's go.
Let's go. Check. Wow.
He's begging
mean-
for a check raise.
We're being baited.
He wants it, we give it to him.
Saeed wants to give it to him. I like it. All right.
I think this is almost like a pure call. I could be wrong.
Okay. So this has the least showdown of all of our hands. Right? Like our spade flushes are gonna have a little more showdown, a little more interaction on the top end of it. So here's the thing, like if the 9 of hearts rolls off here, how happy are we with our hand? Ooh, Saeed,
raise a
you're
lot.
right. Does raise a lot. All right, let's go the Saeed route. We're gonna check raise. Oh,
Drill it on the turn.
and
Yeah,
drill it, and oh, he folded anyways. Our check raise was good. Got him off queen high. All right. Ooh, starting to fold. All right, check. Our opponent checks. Ooh,
Does this have any bluffing qualities because it's blocking continues?
black and both.
Yeah, it's blocking,
No,
it's
you're at the
blocking
top.
ace
You're at the
king.
top of your range. So we have like very few pairs. So when we're betting in this spot, we're going to be extremely polarized. So I think this is just a check. I don't think we're really going to have small bets. I think we're going to be blasting.
okay. We're gonna be blasting with flush draw equity. Right, and some aces.
Check, yeah, I check too, yeah.
An easy call.
Oh. All right.
It's-
Little spicy.
Easy fold.
What? No
I guess we
way.
just have enough stuff here that has better equity than this king jack.
Maybe we need like
take a
king
look.
jack of club. I don't know if we get to fold. We have to call with king highs for sure.
So it is calling king highs, but least of all the
200.
jack. It really doesn't want to have a jack here.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just a solver element, right? It's calling king queen, it's calling king 10, king 9. So we just have enough king high to defend that has the flush draw.
What king tens is it calling with? Is it just calling with flush draws on the king X?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
All of these are flush draws or a pair. Right? And king queen.
How often do
off.
we have the pocket pairs in range?
These ones pretty good. Right? So like these ones are all mixed down here. So like 8s and 9s, we have at pretty good frequency. Sorry, 7s and 8s, not 8s and 9s. But we have all of these here, some frequency. We have a bunch of 7s that call, so. Okay. So let's get out of there. And we'll do one more. Oh. All right. Call or stuff, everyone.
Stuff it.
Ship it.
Stuff it. Good job. Cooler. Oh, call or stuff it.
All you can eat.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right, here we go. Got a caller. All right, 9-9 deuce. Ooh,
I think we still defend.
do we defend by check raising?
I mean, I usually call, but if that's an option, that'd be fun.
Definitely would call here as well.
I think this has some check raising qualities, but I think it's primarily call.
So there are a lot
Definitely
of turns
can
that are
get-
good for us.
Yeah,
I
jack's good,
remember,
king's
I
good.
think 9 is really good for us. 10 is good for him.
Okay.
Check raise
Some-
would be a fun option, but yeah,
Nope.
maybe a call.
Ooh. Just on the other end.
Fold. Yeah. Oh
Fold.
yeah, fold. Yeah,
All right,
makes sense.
check. All right, give up. I have to lose 4 more chips. All right. Ooh, a little bit of fold. Ace 8-8. Check. Check. Okay, so our opponent's check. Now remember, we saw earlier on and when we looked at the button strategy, ace high boards that don't contain another big card are going to check at about between 25 and 50% frequency. So our opponent still has some aces here in range. Are we going to bet this king jack?
You remember the very first time we 3-bet was ace 8. He can have ace 8 a lot.
Sure, he can. Okay.
I think we check.
I
Yep.
check, yeah.
So I'm checking. Oh, look at this disgusting.
I
thing.
guarantee you he has the ace 8.
All right.
I don't know if we get to fold to that size. I think we just call, crying call. I don't think we get to fold to that.
Yeah, call.
Oh,
see?
it's so
Oh.
thin.
14.
It's so thin. All right. We are checking.
Yeah.
Oh. If this is the 7 of spades, do you guys check raise all in here?
Good question.
Do block the nut flush.
Maybe.
Either way, we're definitely out of here now.
He has the super nuts or nothing, right?
Well, we'll see. We're gonna take a look here at that this node.
Do we check
Was it
shove
this-
bluff with blocking the nut flush?
Yeah.
On a paired board.
So he's got a lot of stuff that's betting big here.
This is in position, right?
Yeah, this is his strategy. So he's gonna have some stuff. I mean, he's gonna have some missed stuff, pocket aces. King 10, missed stuff. So he's definitely gonna have some landmines here, ace 9. All right, so what about if we change this to the 7 of spades? Is that gonna change his play?
It
He bets
does, it,
smaller.
yeah, it reduces his size.
Gets that 12 big blind size. King Jack with the king of spades is not happy here. It is mostly just giving up.
Okay.
Yeah, either way. Another good look at the 3-bet size of the range, 3-bet structure of the range interaction. If you guys like this video, there is a couple more in the series, and we'll be doing more afterwards, looking at different spots for range interaction over the next little while. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.